Warwick was one of the most anticipated characters going to be introduced in Arcane Season 2 due to the potential storytelling he would bring for how much the character Vander was built up in Season 1. Vander's story was about a man doing his best avoiding violence for the people he loved, knowing too well the consequences it will bring. Seeing children being orphaned by the crossfire, Vander decided right there on the bridge to end the cycle of violence, putting up his gloves and be a father figure to the orphaned children. This peaceful life was tragically cut short, betrayed by his own people seeing him weak. His brother usurped him of power over the lanes, and sacrificing his own life to keep his daughter alive. This is where Vander's story ends and Warwick's story begins. Seeing Warwick be brought back shows the tragedy and irony of Vander, that this peaceful man became a weapon, a monster, going around the lanes of Zon killing people over the scent of blood. His mind forever lost in the beast, unable to understand who he once was, causing havoc in already high tension situation between Zon and Piltover on the brink of war. However, Arcane failed to deliver this, instead dedicating a whole season of Warwick going on a rampage and seeing the state of psychology. The entire series was instead dedicated to Warwick going through rehab, trying to bring back Vander, only for his fate to end up being an emotionless automaton, removing both of his personalities. What the fuck did they do with this character? The problem begins before the story even starts, being his creation not making sense. Now, in League of Legends lore, the creation of Warwick was made by Sinch, since in this version he was more of a madman scientist, wanted to show the man who was going to be Warwick, no matter how much he pretended to be good, he couldn't hide the evil within him, so he physically and mentally tortured the man through the operation, causing him to become the savage, bloodthirsty werewolf. When it comes to Arcane, where Sinch isn't a cartoon mad scientist, his purpose on experimenting on Vander was due to the fact of his strong will in refusing to die. The mix of Shimmer and Vander will give him a pseudo version of the Wolverine power in having high regeneration capability. Experimenting on him could lead him to figure out a cure for death and resurrect his daughter. If that's the purpose of Vander, why make him to a wolf and give him metal claws? At least in original lore, it made some sense in making him into a werewolf, since it represents a ferocious beast that a man tried to hide. In Arcane, it would have made more sense to have Vander in a test tube like his previous experiments being real. There's just missing context, like a scene of a character telling him to do this. Maybe Silco asking Sinch to turn his brother to a weapon. Nothing. We should assume he did it just because, well, why not? So far, not a great start, but hey, Warwick is here. This is where Warwick gets a full introduction, breaking free, smelling Sinch's blood to do him cut himself on purpose to bring him into the prison to cause havoc. Here, it doesn't explain the character of Warwick. Sure, he's seeking blood and the scene is made brutal, having him cut a bloody path into the prison, but none of this explains the traits that made Warwick such an interesting character from the game's lore. In the original lore, Sinch tossed Warwick into the streets believing he died during their operation. However, all the chemicals pumping into him resurrected Warwick into a zombie werewolf going around feasting on people regardless who they were. It wasn't until the fragments of his past began to haunt him that he acknowledged the guilt of his actions and longed for redemption. So Warwick sees the criminals as a reflection of the monster he has become, their blood-soaked deeds mirroring his own past. This realization fuels his hatred and rage, driving him to hunt those with blood in their hands, and becoming basically the monster version of the Punisher in this universe. The reason I'm going in depth explaining Warwick's biography is that we get none of this, since this will be the last time we actually get to see Warwick's character. As soon as he sees Jinx, his mind begins to remember and slowly reverts mentally back to Vander. This is solidified in the next scene, where Warwick's featured in, where Jinx takes Fight to see him and they all have a family hug. Arcane Season 2 lost its chance to tell a compelling story of a good man turned into a monster, killing indiscriminately, but slowly redeems himself through his action, using his biological weapon body to punish horrible people. Having this potential character arc of Warwick is completely reduced and devoted in the next episode to having Victor fixing Vander in a montage and seeing the state of his mind through imagery. This is completely rushed and unnecessary to have Warwick, or at this point I'm going to be calling the Arcane version of this character as Van Wick, requires a season's worth of storytelling to get him to this point. Even then, I find it unnecessary and defeats what made the concept of Warwick interesting. Despite being resurrected, he's just no longer recognizable by the people that once cared about him. Having his family members unable to recognize Vander would have made it more impactful in making such a tragic fate of Vander's story. The decision to have Warwick's psychology be told through this montage doesn't capture the suffering he's going through. It should be shown to us with his struggle of him trying to remember the faces from his past, hearing the voices, only for the scent of blood causing him to burn those away and revert to a beast. It's a classic storytelling of the werewolf trying to control the animal within him and regain his humanity. This music video is done poorly and rushed, since the images repeat the information we already know that the beast has trapped Vander's mind. It lacks the depth in exploring the reason behind the beast suppressing Vander's humanity. Having Victor just fix those problems in this mind journey is rushed. This journey should be done by Warwick alone in his battle to regain some of his humanity. As if Van Wick's character couldn't get worse, this fails, since Jace chooses Victor and that deserves his own video. However, this is dedicated to Warwick. The consequences of that undoes all the work, causing Van Wick to erupt into lava. Now Van Wick is later stopped by a little girl blowing herself up, again deserves his own video. However, he survived and his blood is used to save Victor by Singe. So in turn, Victor makes Van Wick into one of his automaton soldiers, and at this point his character honestly dies, since there's nothing left to talk about because Van Wick is left with nothing of personality. He's just a robot, a toy to be used by the writers to fight his daughters. As if it wasn't bad enough they had to completely gut his character, they also had to mess up with his design and season 1 storytelling. Making his face appear more human is just uncanny. He's supposed to be a werewolf, not a beast from Beauty and the Beast. The face just ruins the whole point of the character, is that it's a monster, unrecognizable to the man he once was. The only reason they probably done this is to make it easier to show his humanity. However, it was supposed to be developed and done throughout the series. The other issue is doing what I see a bit of a retcon, where the second scene that I mentioned where Van Wick was able to recognize Vi is because of a flashback. This was set when he was younger and met the mother of the two girls, telling him that she cannot handle too much responsibility in taking care of the kids and entrusts Vander to help her, which just messes up what made the bridge scene such a powerful moment. Is that Vander sees the two stranger girls orphaned because of his uprising and decided to raise them, choosing to stop fighting. It was powerful because he decided to do something very noble. It wasn't because someone told him to do it. It just makes the encounter less special because he was obligated to do it after promising her. Season 2 of Arcane just failed to deliver what the fans wanted to see. And what makes it annoying as well as frustrating is the fact that this isn't the only character they butchered. Oh no, there's others, and we'll be starting with Jace in the next video. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.